Tom Peak.
Hmm.
All right, we have less than a minute, everyone. If you could please mute your microphones, that would be spectacular. Good evening. Welcome to the Easthampton City Council meeting for Wednesday, January 6th, 2021. Yay. The meeting tonight is being recorded and broadcast live via Easthampton Media on Charter Channel 193 and live streamed on Easthampton Media's YouTube channel. We thank, as always, the folks at Easthampton Media for helping us bring this meeting to you. All counselors and participants in this meeting are gathered remotely via Zoom conference application. Remote public meetings during the COVID-19 pandemic are the result of an executive order by Governor Baker on March 12, 2020, allowing us to do so. I remind both the members of City Council and of the public to remain on mute until recognized by the chair. I want to make a short statement before we begin. Most of us, no doubt, have spent the better part of the afternoon witnessing history and the events that took place today at the Capitol. There will be plenty of time to dissect all that happened today, which includes, I might add, results of a runoff election and the certification of electoral votes for president and vice president. But tonight, I remind my fellow councilors that our job is to do the work for the people of Easthampton, and I ask that you stay focused on that task tonight. I think it's also important to remember and acknowledge that 357,000 people have died from the COVID-19 pandemic over the past year. May they rest in peace, and may their memory be a blessing. Barbara, we can now call this meeting to order. Could we have the roll call, please?
Peg Conniff.
Here.
Salem Derby.
Present.
Erica Flood.
Present.
Omar Gomez.
Here.
JP Kaczynski. Tom Peak.
Here.
Dan Rist.
Here.
Lindsay Rothschild.
Here.
Owen Zarin.
Here.
We will now rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America
and
and
to the republic
for which it
for which it
stands,
stands, one
one
nation,
nation, under God, indivisible,
indivisible, with liberty
and
and
justice
justice
for
for
all.
all. We have 2 minutes to approve the minutes of October 14th and December 16th. I will take a motion to approve both of those minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the minutes of October 14th and December 16th. Barbara, could we have a roll call vote?
Peg Conniff.
Aye.
Salem Derby.
Aye.
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
Erica Flood.
Aye.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Yes.
Lindsay Rothschild.
Yes.
Owen Zarin.
Yes.
Now we have this, yes, we have public speak, and I want to ask those from the public who would like to speak, you can go into the participants window and raise your hand virtually. It is unlikely I will see your hand if you're waving it in front of the camera. So if you could do it virtually, it's much easier to see. If you would like to do that, go ahead and do it. And you will have 3 minutes to make your comments. Please introduce yourself. Let us know where you're from. And you, like I said, you'll have 3 minutes. If you run into the 3-minute timer, which I will be keeping, you may finish the sentence you're on, but I will interrupt you and ask you to be complete. We do have a public hearing tonight at 6:15. So I encourage you during public speak to speak to those items that are not on the public hearing, because we will not be able to engage with you if you speak about anything on the public hearing until it's time for the public hearing. So with that said, is there anyone from the public who would like to address this body?
I don't see any, Peg.
Oh, I don't either. I should wait to make that speech until hands go up. I feel like I make it and then there's no hand. Okay, we have some time. So before we begin the public hearings, is there anyone from any elected official, board, or committee that would like to have something to say at this point? Councilor Gomez.
Thank you, Madam President. First, I agree with you. What happened in Washington today is too much, was unacceptable, and it is a sad moment for our country. Besides saying that, I just want to say that we have the opportunity a few weeks ago to request to take these meetings off if we have any special day in our culture or religion. And I did not request to change this meeting. Um, Beside that, we Puerto Ricans and most of the Latinos, we celebrate today the Three Kings Day. It's a really a special day for us. So if you saw any Latino last night grabbing grass from the backyard, if they can find it anywhere here with the snow, it's because we put grass for the camels when they show up to home, like a Santa show up in Christmas that we leave cookies and milk. We do the same with the camels. So because they're traveling everywhere, so we feed them when they show up homes. So today is a really important day for Puerto Rican community, including the government in Puerto Rico. Usually they give presents to the kids and everything. It's a huge celebration in our culture. And I didn't request to change this meeting because in one of the meeting a long time ago, I think it was important to teach everybody about every other culture, and I want to take this opportunity to do so. So every 6th of January we celebrate Three Kings Day, and it's really important for the Latino community. I just want to say that, and happy Three Kings Days to all you guys.
You as well, Councilor Gomez. Thank you. Anyone else? Councilor Zaret.
Thank you, President Gomez and Councilor Gomez, President Conniff. And thank you, Councilor Gomez, for educating us about Three Kings Day. Thank you, and happy Three Kings Day to you. Couple things. Following President Conniff's lead, I had the opportunity to attend a ride along with the Easthampton Police Department. Many thanks to Sergeant Gribby for making himself available and for the hospitality of the rest of the department. As President Conniff indicated, I learned quite a bit during that ride. Fortunately, didn't see much, but learned quite a bit. There was a injured owl rescued during that night, which I got to see, and watching the members of our police department connecting them with wildlife rehabilitation. Two, I had the opportunity to receive my first of 2 doses of the Moderna vaccine against COVID-19. I'm feeling fine, just some slight soreness in my arm at the injection site. I feel very fortunate to have been able to receive this vaccine. And I'm looking forward to a time, hopefully soon in the future, when each and every one of you are given the opportunity and a rollout to vaccinate the rest of the residents of this country. I'm very grateful to the scientists who developed this at a record-breaking pace, very sound science, and most importantly, very safe science. I encourage everyone to receive this when given the opportunity. This is how we're going to get back to normal. I'm feeling very emotional, and I'm going to take President Conniff's lead, but I'll just briefly say that nonpartisan wise, I'm very proud of what happened in Georgia, and not because of Democrats or Republicans being elected, but because of Black voters fighting historical disenfranchisement, actually rising up and having their voices heard. Under the leadership of Stacey Abrams, that population that has been for so long nationally and certainly in Georgia been kept out of, their voice has been kept out of elections, and I'm very proud of seeing those results. Some historical things there too. This will be the first Jewish Southern senator elected since the 19th century, and the second Black Southern senator ever elected since Reconstruction. And assuming things stay the same, we will see our first ever Jewish Senate Majority Leader. I had something much longer planned about the last item that a few people have addressed, but I guess I'll just say that this is just deeply disturbing. I never thought in my life that I would see armed terrorists, not protesters, terrorists, storming our Capitol, smashing windows, forcing their way in, and taking hostage the Senate chambers. I think some people commented on social media that what we saw was much different than how peaceful protesters were treated this summer for protesting the murder of a Black man. And that's there's a separate time for that discussion, but this is not normal. I've watched for the last 4 years at least, our country transformed and our sense of what's normal, that bar been lowered and lowered and lowered. We have sunk so deep into the mud that I don't even know where we are now. We were told that the swamp was going to be drained, and all I've seen is it filled in for the last 4 years. Nothing about this has made America great. I feel that this is one of the lowest points I have ever seen in my lifetime. So it's really up to every one of us to try to find the light and the guidance to pull ourselves out of this, to establish new norms, and to say that we don't accept this. And that's all I got to say.
Thank you, Councilor Zeri. Councilor Peak?
I almost forgot. I have some good news, which is that on Monday, the Telecom Advisory Committee, which was formed by ordinance in the last term, held what is likely going to be its last meeting. We finalized our report. One of our members volunteered to format it and make it look nice, and then it will be going to this council and to the mayor. I'll give a quick spoiler. The report, after speaking to a number of other city governments that do have municipal internet, municipal fiber optic internet, recommends that Easthampton take steps to do the same and lays out a few paths to doing so. So look for that in your inboxes sometime in the next few weeks. I'm very proud of the work that we've done there, and I'd like to just publicly thank all the current and former members of that committee for all of their hard work over the last couple of years researching this very interesting issue.
Thank you, Councilor Peak. One question. Will you be presenting that report at City Council?
At the pleasure of the council, I'm sure we can arrange a presentation.
Okay. I would like that.
Okay, great. I will, I'll get in touch with the folks there, and yeah, maybe we can just schedule, put it on the agenda for like once the report's out,
Sure.
so that you guys can have, because it's like a 40-something page report.
Right, well, we'll take
I'd
a
like to give
synopsis
people, yeah.
version.
But once people have had an opportunity to read it, yeah, I think that'd be great to schedule a time for a presentation before the council.
Wonderful, thank you. Anyone else of the councilors who would like to speak? Okay. We have a couple of minutes. Mayor, did you have anything you would like to speak to?
Yes, I actually do have 3 short things. One, congratulations to the Telecoms committee for wrapping up their work. The timing could not be better. I've received information that the next stimulus that has been passed specifically contains money for broadband access and building those networks via municipal light. So we're waiting for the details, and hopefully what money is available will go hand in hand with what the telecommunications has given us. The report, it's always great to have these reports because it gives us a path forward into proving the grants that we're ready to do it and we're thoughtful. I don't have the handouts ready, but I will put them up on the website, email them to you at all. For Martin Luther King Day, we will be observing the National Day of Service, and we'll do a reach out mass activity where we will have printed postcards and ask people or invite people to volunteer to take a pack of 12 postcards, and you'll have addresses and write a little note on the postcard saying hi, or if you're like to color, then you could color. a little sunshiny picture and then bring them back to City Hall, and we'll mail them out to our residents to make sure everybody knows that we're thinking of each other and sending good wishes and sunshine, even though we can't see each other. So I'll get details out there. The last is on, and that's on the 18th. On the 19th, the city will be putting out a press release asking all the churches and people with lights, the public buildings will be fully lit up for a national COVID-19 memorial for all the lives lost and affected by COVID-19. We'll also be asking buildings that have a bell to ring those, and we'll get the timing down so we can do it through a certain period. So I wanted to get that word out because the 19th is coming fast upon us, as well as the 18th, and we'll get info out to the community. Thank you.
Great. Does anyone have any questions for the mayor? Okay, thank you, Mayor.
Yep.
Dan, I didn't want to skip over you. Did you have anything you wanted to say before we move into the public hearing?
No, thank you, Madam President.
Okay, I'll take a motion to open the public hearings.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second to open the public hearings. Barbara? Any discussion? Barbara?
Salem Derby,
Aye.
Omar Gomez,
Aye.
Erica Flood,
Aye.
Tom Peak,
Aye.
Dan Rist,
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild,
Aye.
Owen Zaret,
Yes.
Peg Coniff.
Aye. Public hearing is now open. We have two items on the public hearing. The first one is with Councilor Rist. Councilor Rist.
We have a lot of items on the public hearing.
Well, two sections.
Okay. Yes, the first item on the public hearing agenda is the conclusion of the 121A agreement, which was approved by the Finance Committee 3-0 and by the mayor. The council report, which if approved by the council this evening, which you had in your packet, complies with MGL 121A requirements. In that report, a timeline is shown of council actions, including the 3-0 finding of the Finance Committee this past December 30th. In that report, you'll notice there are two amendments to the 6A agreement. One is to change the duration of the alternative tax payment plan from 25 to 30 years. That will conclude with a total of $6,567,842 being given in taxes over a 30-year period. These are taxes we would not receive unless this blighted area is allowed to be developed. There's also an amendment to the workforce housing and affordable housing item. This issue is now tied to federal and state subsidies. The mayor has, and the One Industrial Lofts have said that they will work very hard to secure these subsidies, although this is disappointing that it's no longer a guarantee. It is to this counselor and to the Finance Committee acceptable as a way in which we hope we can get that. The findings of the council report match the planning board in that they are all equal to what the planning board sought, except for the amendments. First, that the development of a blighted area is a primary reason to accept the 6A agreement in compliance with 121A. Secondly, that the possibility of an added benefit of workforce or affordable housing is attractive, although no longer guaranteed. It is not a disqualifying factor in our decision on the Finance Committee. I will now ask Mr. Michon to explain his need for the 25 to 30-year alternative tax payment plan and also the amendment to the housing area. I'll ask him to explain that. I'm also prepared, Madam President, to share any document a counselor may want, including the tax table or the agreement. Mr. Michon, please.
Thank you, Councilor Rist. Good evening, all.
So one of the main criteria for us extending is we really, we did plan to start this building 5 this past fall. And obviously that didn't happen. And right at this point, we're not clear we're going to be starting building 5 in the spring. We're very hopeful that we will, but due to COVID, we really need to make sure that we have the ability to finish this project and not come back before the council for any type of an extension. As far as the housing goes, this is a moving target. We started this in 2017 with Mass Housing. Their program has changed multiple times. I've been in touch with the mayor on this. She's aware of it, and we will diligently together pursue a subsidy of some sort, whether it's from the state or the feds, to get some sort of affordability or veteran housing or any type of program that we can get for this project.
I'd like to now ask the mayor to speak to especially to the housing area, since she was excited for that, and she is in agreement with these amendments. Mayor, please, if you would.
Good evening. Thank you, Chairman Rist. The agreement as proposed, I think, has many public benefits, which satisfies the state's review, but also our own. I thank both the planning board and the city council for a very thoughtful overview of the agreement and reviewing it. I would be, remiss and wondering if we will have the same team on site that we did now going forward, and where we are with that. Also, I do heartily promise, and I've already started the conversations with members of the federal delegation as well as HUD around programs that might be coming out of DC in the next couple of months, and how we can tie that to the timeline. I think we all, the benefit of having public money involved in the project in the first place proved our partnership, and also brought in quality product. I mean, if you go there, I think Mr. Michon would agree. It's top notch. It's really good. It looks fantastic, and I would hope the same quality goes forward. And the public money, helped us as a city and the developer leverage to support our brothers and sisters in labor, and I'm very appreciative of that. But the agreement's financial points, I think, are right on. I think they're appropriate that they're extended given COVID-19. We just had a meeting earlier today about our school project, and had to make some really hard decisions about opening that school early. And we decided not to, and make that recommendation to the full school building committee, because there are so many variables in the construction industry. And I think it's not only fair, I think it's in the best interest of the city to extend to the full 30 years. And just for the record, I know that Jen Gallant, our treasurer, and I really made a hard commitment to keep those years down, but financial conditions have changed, and I'm looking forward to this project building with the highest quality possible. And if nothing else, Mr. Michon, thank you for keeping people employed and being committed to pushing this project forward with so many uncertainties.
If councilors have questions, I can try to answer, but I also know that Treasurer Gallant is here if you have questions about the tax issue as well.
Any questions from councilors? Councilor Gomez.
Thank you, Madam President. I do have a question, and it's not about the financial stuff on the 30 years. I think it makes sense from moving to 25 to 30 years, especially what is happening with the pandemic. So we cannot predict what is going to happen in the future. I think adding 5 years it looks like it's going to be a lot of years, but to make any sense. But my question is to Mike Michon, Mr. Michon, or his group, is is any commitment from the construction to have union contractors to for the other buildings? I think it's really important for us to know if it's going to be union contractors for the rest of the years and work in this property.
So good question, Councilor Gomez. So our first building, we did have union laborers and union carpenters on the project. Because of the scope of the project, it is open shop, but sometimes with different trades, because of, again, the scope of the project, we will need to bring in union staff. So that is because of, again, in other words, like just masonry in particular, you know, we would need like 20 to 30 masons to do concrete repair work. And that's something that, you know, we are aligning ourselves with, you know, going forward. Ultimately, we won't know until we're completely bid out with the overall project. But we do plan at some point to have those trades in there, but obviously we can't guarantee that.
Anybody else with questions? Councilor Zarek.
Go ahead,
All right,
Councilor.
Some of this might just be my ignorance. I'm just trying to understand how the, for lack of a better term, the tax forgiveness, how that affects the tax levy. In other words, does the amount that we would be raising count, or is it what will actually be raised after the discounted tax, if that makes sense? In other words, will we have to then adjust commercial taxes to meet the levy that would be created by the initial non-reduced tax amount? Does that make sense, what I'm asking?
I think Val is best to answer that, but maybe Val or Jen, whoever wants to answer that. I don't have an answer to that. Val, do you know anything if it'll affect the tax levy? Is Val there?
Yep, she's
Yeah.
coming.
I'm coming. Takes a second to turn everything on. I really don't know. I mean, it is going to be collected as betterments for the debt. As far as the levy is concerned, I think it doesn't become a part of the levy until we're actually collecting taxes on it. But I think that's an assessor question, really.
I do think it is a pilot program. Jen, do you have anything to add on that?
No, I agree with Val that I kind of didn't understand Councilor Zaret's entire question, but I don't think that it's going to have any real impact, because it's like we're at least getting something versus nothing. And then once we're done with the 121A agreement, then it will be, you know, assessed and taxed at its full value. So, I mean, I don't see that it's going to really be, you know, an impact to the levy.
Unfortunately, Councilor Zaret, our assessor has retired, so we're going to have to wait to get you a definitive answer. Anybody else?
Any other questions? Councilor Zaret.
Do the provisions of the wage theft ordinance that we passed within the last year or so, do they apply to this project?
I don't know.
Who are you
I
asking?
imagine.
Are you asking Mishan or
Or
the mayor?
anyone within the city that might be able, they may be able to answer that question?
Yeah, Mayor, you've been close to this. I don't actually know. I think Councilor Gomez's question is relevant to that conversation.
Yeah.
And so I'm actually interested in the answer of that.
Yeah, so I believe that it is, and it wasn't for the first part because there were federal dollars and we were working on that ordinance. I'm going to seek a legal opinion to that, but, and that's why I had my hand up earlier, to say I'm going to, but the way that we're reading it now, it would apply.
Good. Anybody else? Question? Shall we open it to the public? Madam?
Absolutely. Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak to this particular item on the public hearing? Elisa Clausen.
Hi, thank you, Council President. Thank you, councilors. And thank you, Councilor Zaret, for your question. It was part of my question of coming on. I just want to start with thanking you all again for the work you did in 2019 on passing the wage theft ordinance and having it apply to both tax increment financing projects as well as housing development financing projects, increment financing, and contracts. Wage theft, it's a big problem, unfortunately, in construction industry. And so we appreciate that it'll be a part of any project of this type. And that was my question, was just to clarify if it was a part of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Any other, Tim Craw?
Thank you, Madam President. My question was going to be the same.
Tim, excuse me, Tim, can you introduce yourself, please?
Certainly. I'm Tim Craw. I'm the representative for the Western Mass Carpenters Union. I am located in Springfield, Mass.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. That was my question as well. Does the wage theft language that Easthampton has adopted apply? I'd also like to take this time to thank Mr. Michon for involving the Carpenters Union in the first phase of the project. What the councilors may not know, and I think Mr. Michon does, is the carpenters that worked on that project invested money out of their very own pockets with their contractor to lower his price so that they could participate in that project. That was to get this ferry street off the ground for the benefit of Easthampton, its taxpayers, certainly the developer and the trades that got to work on the job. I hope we have a continuing relationship with Mr. Michon. I admire that he's taken on such a blighted area and doing what is the right thing with it. And, that's what I have to say.
Thank you, Tim. Anyone else? Danielle Martineau.
Yeah, so Danielle Martineau, 89 Northampton Street. So I just have a few clarifying questions, and it's pretty complicated. So the first question I have is, how much money did you lose from the grant, the historical grant? And how much money will you be saving with this 6A agreement?
Mr. Misha?
Yeah. So first, the historic tax credits were probably close to $6 million. And regarding the tax, the 121A, the 121A, what it does is it allows us as developers to be able to take the math that we agree on with the city and project out 30 years or whatever the term is, so that there's no deviation in that. Because if there's a deviation in it, it can completely upset our financial program for the project. And I'm going to use this example. I've told a couple of councilors this. When I first came to Easthampton in 2009 and started with 180 Pleasant Street, my taxes in a blighted building with the big red X's on it were about $8,000 a year. I didn't even get into really any construction, just some minor miscellaneous demolition. And I don't remember the exact year, whether it was 2010 or 2011. I had barely any tenants in the building. I got a tax bill for almost $80,000. So that was a hard lesson, because if you understand how that works, is I had to write the check. Then I had to fight it with my tax attorneys. and you never get it back. All it does is gets credited forward. So that's only on a small project. That building's 120,000 square feet. Now, if you can just imagine that on a $5 or $10 million project, and do that on a 50 or a 40 or $50 million project, we would be upside down, and we would be in bankruptcy, and we'd be fighting the city, and we would be in a position that we wouldn't want to be. We want to be partners in this project together, and this is the perfect mechanism to allow both parties to fully understand what they're getting out of the project.
Thank you.
Mayor? Go ahead, Mayor.
I just want first of all, on the historical tax credit, it wasn't a grant, it's a tax credit. And upon advice of the then Secretary of Housing and Economic Development, Jay Ash, and talking to the Massachusetts Historical Commission, that there was way to preserve the historical integrity of the project where it was suitable or safe to do. $6 million sounds like a huge number, and it's not $6 million that Mr. Michon receives on his taxes. It is actually tax credits that are put out onto a tax credit market, and it really results into much less hard money for Mr. Michon or any developer. For example, at the River Valley Market Project, I worked with them to obtain $15 million with new market tax credits. That $15 million of tax credits only brought them $450,000 towards their project of 20 million. It's a good faith effort for other financiers to see that there are tax credits in the project. The other barrier to the historical tax credits, both federal and state, they move very slow. And there are a couple of very similar projects in the eastern part of the state that are now at a complete standstill and have been for more than a couple of years because historical tax credits and their approval move so slow. When we entered the project, we knew that we could get more tax dollars, both federal and state, going for economic development and also on blighted properties within the city.
Anyone else? Danielle, I'll get to you in a second. I want to give someone else an opportunity if there's anyone else who would like to ask a question. Okay, Danielle, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, my question just wasn't answered. I'm just wondering, how much money did you lose? Because I know that I guess it was a tax credit, the historical tax credit, you lost because you were unable to restore the historical integrity of the building because it was unsafe. At least that's what I got out of the planning board meeting. So I'm wondering, how much money did you lose from that credit? And also, when I added up all of the tax payments that will, on that table, and I don't know if this is the table that the mayor is referring to, it seems like $3 million would be saved. So I'm just wondering, because that's money that we have to pay for, the public, we lose that. This isn't, and as far as when I was reading it, it wasn't about low income housing. It was about moderate to higher income housing, which is private. It's a private ownership. So I'm not sure this is actually benefiting the public. And maybe I'm missing something. So yeah, my question is, how much money are you losing from the tax credit? And is it more or less than how much money you'll be saving with a 6A agreement?
They're two different scenarios. So let's forget about for a minute the historic tax credits. That's one pool of money that would help us with the overall project, but would take years and years to get. So this project would sit with the potential historic tax credit. So to answer your question, it's time versus money. So I can't tell you exactly what that would be, but the 121A, all the 121A does for us is we agree on a term of valuation, and we know what we're going to be paying and the city is going to be receiving. And by doing that, we don't have an overvaluation down the road that could bankrupt the project, then everybody would be in trouble.
Councillor Rothschild.
I think it might be good for the public for someone to articulate the benefit that the DIF is going to be providing to this district in conjunction with this project. I'm not the best one to articulate it, but I find that it's a benefit to the city.
The diff, did you say the diff?
Yeah, the DIF.
Jeff, do you want to go into that? I think you know more about that, or? The diff is not affected by the new agreement, by the way.
There's two Jeffs on the call. Were you?
Oh, Jeff Bag.
Jeff Bag, excuse me.
No, it's okay. Jeff Daly is also on the call, and he, he's knowledgeable about the diff. The idea with the diff is that because there will be a project, there is tax revenue being generated, and the diff district was established in 2018 to allow the city to take some of that revenue and build public infrastructure with it. And it's important because we don't have a lot of money to just do public infrastructure. We do rely on Chapter 90 to pave roads, and we've been relying on other grants to do infrastructure. And so this is an alternative because it's kind of guaranteed that we're going to get tax revenue from a project, and we can put it to for that purpose to create public infrastructure. And so, one of the main goals of the DIF, the next couple steps would be phase 2, which is an important project, important part of the project that will come later on the other side of the canal, is to build another bike path connector from Ferry Street to the bike path, which will be much closer to the Parsons Street and kind of new city neighborhood. And so that's the specific goal of the DIF, is to fund that improvement. I'll just also say that in terms of whether this is a loss of money to the city, during this period of time, that is one way to look at it. But the other is that it'll enable the project to move forward. And although it seems like a long time away, at the end of the 30-year period, we will get the full tax revenue back because there'll be a project that will be producing revenue. So it's not a loss. It's just money it's not producing all the revenue at this point, but it will eventually. And it's important to make sure that the project moves forward so that at 2050, we are getting the full tax revenue from that project.
I hope that answers, Lindsay.
Mike?
Just wanted to, Jeff, thank you. I'm glad you just brought something up. So I got my first third quarter tax bill, okay, for this property, and it's over $8,000. So that's just on one parcel. So I'm not really sure, I don't have the information, but I'm not sure when the city of Easthampton has ever received $8,000 from this property.
Any other, Danielle?
So when I attended the planning board meeting, you guys presented this as if it was to do the 128, it was because you were losing money from the tax credit. But now you're saying that actually those two things, I know that they're separate, they're two separate things, but they are correlated, or are they not? And also you are getting some profit out of this, Mike Mashon, are you not? Are you selling these condominiums? I'm pretty sure you are. Or are you renting them? I don't know. But I guess I do have some sympathy, for the developer, and that you are losing money from the tax credit. But I know that there are a lot of people in the public who are looking at this and having a really hard time sitting with it because they see it as a tax credit for, in terms of just like how our taxes have increased over the year, and how this is more like a tax credit for a developer who's getting profit out of something because of a mistake that they've made. I could be getting that wrong, which is why I'm here. I'm just trying to get more information. But I do know that there are a lot of people who do not like this and who don't sit with this very well. So some clarification would be really great for that. So thank you.
Jeff Daly?
Yeah, thanks. Danielle, I work with Mike on the project. And, you know, I can say from experience that if Mike had to wait for historical tax credits for this project, as the mayor alluded to, it takes years and years. I'm working on a project now in Ludlow, and we're at about 6 years of tax credits, and our developer isn't going to pull a trigger until they get 7 years of tax credits. So we've got to wait another basically 20 or 6 award cycles in order to even bring them to the table to do it. I don't know any developer, including Mike, that would sit around and wait 7 or 8 years to get the historic tax credits on this. So, you know, he is foregoing that, but also with the, as Mike alluded to, with the 121A, if there wasn't a project, unfortunately, the town wouldn't have anything, because I don't know anybody else who would do this in the near future. And what Mike's investing in it is quite a bit of capital. And what the town or the city is getting is tax dollars that normally wouldn't be there, and quite honestly, likely won't be there if Mike walked away from this. And how it's structured isn't a tax break. Where what a 21A does is, as Mike said, it locks in the value of the building. So, and then he pays the tax rate as it increases throughout the year. So if it's $18 this year and it's $18.05 next year, that's his tax rate. And the project is locked in at a certain value that was agreed upon from the city. So over the course of 25 years, I'm not looking at the spreadsheet that I created, but I think it's about $3.5–4 million that Mike will be paying to the city in taxes through the 121A. And I can honestly say, as a developer, and I've been involved in many of these projects, and Mike's one of the best ones out there, that if this agreement isn't done in this way, I don't know any developer that would come in and take on that property without some sort of incentives and without some sort of partnership with the city to make sure that not only they're going to be safe on the investment, but also the town and the city is going to be safe on their receiving of taxes over the 30-year period. And this is a way to lock that in and be sure that both parties are held accountable, and both will receive the payments and the project will get done. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Councilor Rist?
I just want to comment. First, this is a huge benefit to the city. Without this agreement, this project won't happen. I have been waiting 40 years to see something happen with these mill buildings that are ugly and depressing. And the fact that Mr. Michon on One Industrial Lofts is going to risk a great deal of funds, $40 million project, to have this done. I ask anybody who's wondering what that benefit would be to look at what happened with the other mills in the city that were developed, one by Mr. Michon himself, and the economic development for our city that has happened with them and that will happen with these new buildings. I also have to say that it is absolute that we will get $6.5 million, $6,500,000 over 30 years, and we will get nothing if this agreement isn't fulfilled. And I don't think, and as I agree with Mr. Daly, that any other developer will take this on. We have had people, developers, thinking they could do something with this area fall by the wayside because it is an enormous risk and enormous project. And it is a huge economic development for the city. It is the last mill area that needs to be fixed. And of course we have problems and we have taxes increased among the city, and that's the fact of government. But without this agreement, we get nothing. And I can't see why we would turn our heads away from this. So just to answer that question, and I don't think a debate is necessary at this point, but that's just my opinion. I was going to say that once we had a motion, but
Councilor Derby?
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to echo, thank you, Councilor Rist. That was well said. You know, I've been waiting since I moved to Easthampton to see something happen to those factories. Actually, before, since I was in, you know, elementary school, coming to Easthampton regularly, and they've been dilapidated and broken down ever since. And, you know, I think the benefit is this provides stability to the developer to know over a long period of time the valuation of the property so they can prepare and be ready for the taxes that they're going to have to pay. Without that stability, how could you potentially redo these buildings? That's so important, having that stability. And I can't say enough how important it is to get these buildings developed, because if they don't get developed now, they're coming down. And we don't want to lose that. And so, you know, I think that what we're doing is, you know, we're making a small concession saying that this is what the valuation is going to be over this period. They still have to pay the prevailing tax rate. So they're not getting a tax cut. They just have stability in knowing what their valuation is going to be. And I think that's the important thing to remember. And this is going to boost up that whole area, which has been, you know, kind of run down over this long period of time. And nobody else has been able to do anything with this spot. So I appreciate Mr. Michon doing this.
Anyone else? Okay, go ahead, Danielle. Oh, sorry, Danielle. Hold on one second. I want to give others a chance, Danielle. And I see that Councilor Zaret's hand was up.
May I speak?
Yeah.
So I've been really struggling with this, and I don't want to, I'm saying that I don't want that to be misconstrued, that I do not appreciate the contributions that Mr. Michon has made to the city and plans to make to the city. You know, I think at the end of the day, I agree with the sentiments that have been expressed here that if we do not offer some of the concessions in the 121A, that this just won't be built. And I think that we are aware of the infrastructure development vis-a-vis the mills that Mr. Michon has been able to make in the past. And this is just a huge project that involves a lot of money to do. And it's unlikely that, as Councilors Rist and Derby and others have said, that we would be able to accomplish this without passing the 121A and allowing some reduction of the taxes to the area. I do understand some of the concerns of our residents, especially in light of recent reassessments and recent tax increases because of our new school. And I think that does make things difficult, I think, for people to understand, and it's somewhat of a bitter pill to swallow. And so I just hope that somehow indirectly the development of this area is able to give back to the community in some way. Certainly, I look forward to the commercial and retail changes that will be made and how that's going to affect that whole mill district. There was something else I wanted to say, and now I'm forgetting it. But I was hoping that there would be more affordable housing, and by affordable I mean, we've been having this discussion for a long time, certainly since the brief time I've been on the city council. We've seen the shift in or at least concerns about the socioeconomic status generally of people coming to the city, gentrification, et cetera, and discussions about making Easthampton a place that everyone can afford to live in, and young families. And I guess I'm a little disappointed that it's unclear how this project may facilitate that. But that being said, I also completely understand that it's a private development, and at the end of the day, they can choose how many affordable workforce units are available and how many aren't, to some degree. So I think overall I'm in support of this. It's the benefits versus the downside type of thing. And again, I do really appreciate the contributions that Mr. Michon has made. So that's all.
Okay. Thank you, Councilor Zaret. All right, Danielle, one more time.
Yes, last one. So I have to apologize because when I was looking at the agenda, I was adding up the adjustment payments to the city, and I got $3,186,471.73, which is about 50% of what it could be assessed for. I'm not quite sure if I'm understanding it correctly. So the only thing I ask is that you please explain this to the public because there are a lot of people who do not get what this is. It's obviously really confusing. If what Councilor Rist said that we will be getting the full amount is just added up over time, over the 30-year mark, the $6 million, then that is something different, and that makes a lot of sense. But it's not very clear. And when I added up the adjustment payments, I got 3 million, which is a 50%. It looked like a 50% tax break. So
Let me,
I appreciate you guys explaining and clarifying. I'm glad I attended this meeting to get that. So thank you.
Madam President, I'd like to share the tax table so that the public can see.
Yes.
And try to explain a little bit, if that's all right with you.
Yes, before you do that, I want to ask Mr. Michon's team, and I don't know, Jane, if you're the best person to speak to the explanation of the spreadsheet and the two columns that are relevant, the one being the 121A payments and the adjusted payment to the city, how those are to be viewed as revenue or income to the city.
I'm happy to explain, yes. If
I'm going to share the screen so you can see it. I just wanted to explain that there are two different payments. One is an excise tax, that's this column, and the other one is the actual property tax. So the 6 million I get is this figure here and this figure added together. So go ahead, Jane, if you want to explain that even further, or Jen. And I'll move the screen any way you need me to move it.
It's fine right where it is right now, Dan.
Okay.
Okay, so Ms. Martineau, and for any of the other public, I'm Jane Mantelewski, and I'm an attorney for One Industrial Lofts and Mr. Michon. And so under this chart, you'll see there's the two final columns, right? And if you go, Dan, to the top, it'll say 121A payments, and then in parentheses, it says 5% and $10 per 1,000. And then there's this adjusted payment to the city. In actuality, both of those payments, both of those two columns are going to get paid to the city. It's just through which vehicle. So the first one, the 121A payments, the 5% and the 10 per 1,000, that payment is due from Mr. Michon and One Industrial Lofts. And that payment goes first through to the state, through the Department of Revenue. And once the Department of Revenue receives that fund, that money, it then funnels it back through to the city of Easthampton. And that payment will be due annually every year on March 15th of the year. The second payment, the adjusted payment to the city, is a payment that is made directly to the city of Easthampton by One Industrial Lofts and Mike Michon. And that is paid every year annually on April 1st. So there's about a 2-week gap in the payments. And so both of those payments in both of those columns need to be made annually. And just the first one goes through the Department of Revenue first and then back to the city. And then the other one's a direct payment to the city.
So that's where we got the $6 million by adding those two payments up over 30 years. Does anybody else need to see this, or should I, Madam President, should I stop the share, or are we okay?
I don't know. Does anyone have any questions? Not seeing any. You can stop the share at this point.
I'm ready for a motion whenever you are, Madam President.
Just checking. Any further questions? No. Okay, go ahead and make a motion.
I'll make a motion that the full council approve the application and 6A agreement submitted by One Industrial Lofts as amended, and further to recommend that the mayor execute the 6A agreement and associated 30-year schedule of payments as amended and submit the same to the Department of Housing and Urban Development for their final approval of the 18C regulatory agreement.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the 121A agreement. Any further discussion? Barbara? Oh, I'm sorry. Councilor Rothschild?
I just also wanted to mention that because of this development, we've already gotten almost $2 million in infrastructure, to public infrastructure to that area. So we've already gotten benefits. And I just want to thank you, Mr. Michon, for believing us in Easthampton. And I trust that you and the mayor will diligently pursue channels of funding for affordable housing and workforce housing, and we will hold you to that. And we trust that you will do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Rothschild. All right, Barbara.
Omar Gomez,
Aye.
Erica Flood,
Abstain.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
What?
He said aye.
Oh,
Aye.
okay, I could barely hear it. Dan Rist,
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild,
Aye.
Owen Zaret,
Yes.
Peg Coniff,
Aye.
Salem Derby.
Aye.
Motion passes. All right.
Moving on. We have a number of supplemental appropriations before us. The first one is a $112,000, 193 appropriation to cover police department budget shortfalls. This was approved 3-0 by the Finance Committee. These budget shortfalls are due to the budget uncertainty when the budget was passed in June. And as we saw with the overtime account for the fire department, these shortfalls are necessary to be filled. In this case, due to the collective bargaining agreements, we have contractual obligations for all of these areas. And if they aren't filled, we are in violation of the contract. The consequences are a violation of the contract and a need to find the money elsewhere. I'd like to turn it over to the Chief of Police to explain this even further. Bob, are you still here?
I am. Thank you, Chairman. Good evening, Council. So the transfers for our appropriation requests that we're looking for, one of them is a shortfall in our incentive for my police union. Their education incentive shortfall, which amounts to $60,957.32. The second item is a shortfall for a buyout for Captain Patton, who's retired. And the buyout is not something that we can budget for because I've explained this in years past. An officer can decide to retire or plan on retiring, then decide not to retire. So it's very difficult to try to budget into the actual budget these contractual buyouts. And then the last item is just an omission of a line item that was in the budget, just a clerical error, and it was omitted from the actual budget, and that is for police uniform expense.
Any questions from the council? The public comment?
Anyone from the public? You're not the public, but I'll go with it. Councilor Zaret?
I apologize, President Coniff. I just thought of something. So thank you for recognizing me. Chief Alberti, just a quick question, just so I'm understanding this correctly. This is just basically making good and clearing up deficits that you have in your budget and closing loopholes regarding retiring officers. It's not basically new expenditures. It's basically covering your expenses. Is that fair to say?
That's completely accurate. These were budgeted items with the exception of the contractual buyout, which, like I said, I can't budget for. The other items were budgeted for, but for the sake of balancing the budget at the time, they were cut. And again, one of them was a clerical error.
Anybody else? Shall I make a motion, Madam President?
I think you should.
I move that the full council approve a supplemental appropriation for the amount of $112,193.67 to be transferred from free cash to be transferred to the police base pay account of $8,111.64, the police education incentive account of $60,957.32, the police sick leave buyback account, $28,390.74. The police unused vacation account, $9,733.97. And the police uniform expense account of $5,000. for the following purpose: to restore fiscal year 21 contractual and already budgeted payroll obligations for police educational incentive, sick leave buyback, unused vacation, and uniform expense to their original proposed amounts. These funds will provide for contractual obligations for the police incentive pay and the payout of Captain Chris Patnode's FY21 retirement, as well as cover the anticipated uniform expenses.
Second.
Motion and a second to restore the FY21 contractual obligations for the police from free cash. Any further discussion? Barbara.
Erica Flood,
Aye.
Tom Peak,
Aye.
Dan Rist,
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild,
You're muted, Lindsay.
No.
I read her lips though.
Aye.
Owen Zaret,
Yes.
Peg Coniff,
Aye.
Salem Derby,
Aye.
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
Motion passes. Councilor Rist?
The next supplemental appropriation is for $8,000 to provide for ranked choice voting software. The software is being provided by the same company that already has software installed in our existing machines. There is also a small license fee that we'll be paying each year. And what's great about this is this does all the RCV counting and prints reports. Lastly, it is not hackable. I want everybody to know that in the public. Nobody can hack these machines and change the votes. I'd like to turn it over to Councilor Peak, who worked on the ranked choice voting ordinance and has a lot more information or can answer your questions. Councilor Peak, please.
Thank you, Councilor Rist. I might end up deferring to Barb on one or two technical points, depending on where this conversation goes. But yeah, basically, it's a software package called Democracy Suite. It is designed by LHS, who already does all of our tech support for our precinct tabulators. So it's just a software package that we can install on those. It also comes with a laptop that has the software installed. So, you know, when people read it in, it'll scan the ballot same way it normally does. And then at the end of the night, you know, you can move basically some data sticks over to the computer. And at that point, it does the ranked choice tabulation. So there will be, yeah, like I said, there's going to be about an $800 maintenance fee associated with this going forward. But other than that, this is the only ranked choice voting expense, other than maybe some money for voter education down the line that we're going to have to do, because this does everything. And if we decided at some point down the line to do ranked choice voting for at-large seats or school committee or anything like that, it could handle that as well. So we built the ordinance that we're writing at the RCV ad hoc committee, which should be done very soon, was written around the specifications of this machine, understanding sort of how it works so that we know that it perfectly lines up and there won't be any issues. There were other softwares that were available, but ultimately it just, like, for those ones to even work, you'd probably also need to buy this, was sort of the thing about it. And just having sort of the integrated support just made a lot of sense. So we recommended that we just move ahead with this. And yeah, I feel good about it. I think it's a good idea.
I'd just like to ask Barbara, how do you feel about this software, Barbara? And do you have any concerns?
No, because it's also offered by the vendor that I've used for the whole time we've had voting equipment. We use them for our poll pads. Excellent company, excellent support. If they tell me that this is going to do the job for ranked choice voting, then I totally trust them. And I think it's important that we have the trust, and because this is going to be different for my office, and the fact that LHS is backing this and providing this really makes me feel totally comfortable.
I'll also just say that this is the same organization, the same software that's used in Santa Fe, as well as a couple other, Las Cruces, I think, a couple other communities in New Mexico who do municipal ranked choice voting for their mayoral races. So it has been tested and it works.
Great. Any other questions by counselors? Any questions from the public? Seeing none. Councilor Rist.
Madam President, I ask that the council approve a supplemental appropriation. The amount requested is $8,000 to be transferred from free cash to be transferred to the election and registration account for the amount of $8,000 for the purpose of purchasing ranked choice voting result tally reporting software. This is a one-time purchase that is necessary in order to utilize ranked choice voting with the city's image cast precinct tabulators.
Second.
Motion is second to purchase ranked choice voting software. Any further discussion? Barbara?
Tom Peak,
Aye.
Dan Rist,
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild,
Aye.
Owen Zaret,
Yes.
Peg Coniff,
Aye.
Salem Derby,
Aye.
Omar Gomez,
Aye.
Erica Flood.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next.
The next supplemental appropriation request is from the Community Preservation Act for $35,400 to repair the damage created by the tornado. I keep forgetting the name of that. I'm going to share the screen to show you the pictures of what this will, let me get to it. What this will repair. Oh boy. Hold on, I find it. Nope. I apologize, I had it. There it is. This is the damage caused
Nope.
a few years
We're
ago.
seeing, no, we're seeing a $10,000. There you go.
Is it okay now?
Yep.
So this damage was caused by that event.
Microburst.
Microburst. I keep forgetting that. Microburst, and it's extensive. The $35,000 will leverage a $144,000 grant. This was approved by the CPA for 8 million. I'm sorry, 8 to 0. It will leave $1.1 million in the account after it's approved. The budget, which is on page 72, I'll show you. This is the area that we're talking about. These green lines represent the trails. Also, that we talked a lot about parking availability at the Department of Public Works water plant, and up here toward the log cabin, which will make it available, we hope. But the budget, as you can see when I get to it, there is a lot of money for all of these areas to be used. The subtotal is 131,000 with contingency. There is a 6,580 extra dollar in the 35,000 beyond the 20% to be used because the resource delineation and permitting is not completely unknown at this point. Now I'll ask Councilor Bagg to explain that further. Jeff, can you please?
Councilor Bagg, we'd love to hear from you.
Did I say Councilor Bagg?
Yes.
I'll
We
be
should
very
elect
quick.
him.
And maybe if it's okay, we have Hans Dahlhaus is a resident of Easthampton, has been very involved in this project, and if it's okay, I'd like him to say a little something about the project as well. But I think Councilor Rist did a great overview. This is an asset that we currently have that was pretty much partially destroyed by the microburst, and the grant that we're looking at is Mass Trails, and some of their criteria really look at they want to fund creation of trails or fixing problems or making connections. And almost in day one when I took the position, I got people came to me with this one where the trees just fell down and blocked a lot of the mountain biking trails that were pretty highly utilized up there. So we're thinking this is a good project. We're going to be making the application on February 1st. And as Councilor Rist mentioned, It's a sensitive area. There's a pond, a stream, and some habitat for rare or endangered species. So the permitting is an important part of this. So we really want to take an initial step with the funding to get all the resource areas delineated so that we can then make sure we know where we are in terms of the resource areas and the trails. And so that's an important part of the project, and it's a significant amount that we're going to be applying for that. I think with that, if I saw Hans on the call, if that's acceptable to the council, I think Hans, it'd be great. Hans has been, riding the trails, but has been working on this project for quite some time. And it's really a good example of, someone with the commitment to see a project all the way through. And we still haven't even applied for the grant. So, it's a long-term kind of investment of time to make a project like this happen, but I'm happy to be part of it. And Hans has been really helpful, gave me a tour of the property and such. So Hans, do you want to say a couple words about the project?
Yeah, that'd be great. You can all hear me, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you for letting me speak. First off, I just want to say thank you to Jeff Bagg and Salem Derby, and Thomas Peak actually was the one that put me in contact with them when this project kind of came up. My name's Hans Dahlhaus, and I've lived here since 2006. I moved here with my family, my wife and my 2 kids. And soon after moving here, I was introduced to the Hendrick Street Trails, or as it's known also as the Borachowski Parcel. When I first moved here, I spent a lot of time hiking and biking out in that area. And at that point, it was a thriving network of trails, which were a mix of the Borachowski Parcel trails, which I think were 2.6 miles worth of recreational trails that were open to the public when Peter Borachowski sold to Easthampton in 2000, or I think 2001. And then from there, a network of mountain biking trails was kind of built off of that. And it's just been used as like a multi-use network for hiking, jogging, biking. It's a beautiful area, and it's kind of like a hidden gem, I feel like, for Easthampton residents or people who know about it, because most people go to Mount Tom to get the views, and it's always packed, and you go down to this area and it's absolutely gorgeous. But in 2015, when the microburst hit, the whole area just got decimated. And there was, I think, a few different efforts to reopen the trails. But the damage was just so vast. It was honestly dangerous to have people like on a volunteer level going out there. And it was just like so much work. So what kind of stemmed this project was just not like my love for that area and mountain biking. It was actually just having so many conversations with people, either meeting them on the trails or just bikers or other hikers, talking about like, oh, remember the Hendrick Street trails, remember the Borachowski trails. And people are always like, oh yeah, that was such an amazing area. And it just is now sat there forever. And there's a new loop that was kind of reconnected by Rich LeBombard. But it was kind of like he kind of, weaved a needle through the damaged areas to try to at least allow a loop to hike and bike on, which, a lot of people use. And especially during the pandemic, I spent a lot of time out there, and it was just a lot of people kind of discovered this area, and I think it has a lot of potential. And it's when you guys were talking about the Ferry Street project and how Easthampton is growing, I really think that it's a benefit to Easthampton to have a trail system that is, for mountain bikers, because we don't have that here, for hikers, for joggers, that isn't, Mount Tom. And part of this, my driving force behind this project and approaching Salem and approaching Jeff was in Northampton. There's the Sawmill Hills Conservation Area. They did something very similar to this, where some community members who had been building trails out there forever that weren't really sanctioned trails, but they ended up getting so much activity that they ended up going to the town, making a proposal and saying, look, we want to fix this trail area. Can we keep this, make this sanctioned? And then can we have a community-based involvement to kind of work with the Conservation Commission on a volunteer basis to then maintain it? And I think right now, the initial step is just kind of getting this put back to how it originally was, or close to, so people can actually access it. And another little extended thing of this is just that because it's been kind of forgotten, it's become kind of like a free for all out there. And I mean, there's people riding motorbikes out there. There's people like target shooting. And I think it just needs to be wrangled again by the town to make it a, you know, an actual legit trail system for all to use. So thank you.
Thank you, Hans.
I just wanted to add something before we get more questions.
Sure.
As you can see on this map, I want to make sure the council knows that this land up here and this land is also city property. There's a small amount of private property up here, which is landlocked and maybe something we can purchase to assist with parking off of the log cabin, and they're pretty much in favor of that. Also, Greg Nuttleman, our DPW director, said we might be able to get some small parking down here at the waterworks. The people who gave us this property do not want parking down here, so that's not possible. So if we can provide parking, and the CPA committee was hoping we can get parking in these two areas to eliminate a lot of parking on Hendrick Street. Anyway, I wanted to make sure that people understood that just because this line is here, we own the property on either side of these trails. Do you need me to stop sharing this, or should I keep it up, Madam President?
I think you could probably stop the share right now.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments from counselors or the public? Okay, Counselor Derby, and then Counselor Zaret.
Thank you, Madam President. And I want to just give a hearty thanks to Jeff and to Hans, because this project is so important for so many reasons, and I don't want to like go on and on because I could, because I've been using this area for probably 17 years at this point. And when the microburst came, it was like it was devastating, and we found ways to kind of work around, but we lost almost half of this amazing parcel. And I want to just talk a little bit about the importance of and the strategic area that this is in, because if you look at where the Waterworks building is, it's at the end of Brook Street, which is, a really just a hop, skip, and a jump to Nonotuck Park. And so what this does is it creates a corridor, and so if we are able to open up this area from the Waterworks on Hendrick Street, it really connects Nonotuck Park in the center of town to this important trail network. And it really opens up opportunities for people to be able to recreate outdoors. And it also creates more space for people, especially during the pandemic, who are going outside, and rightfully so, for their mental health and their physical health. But it's like having more space to spread out in is important. And having city trails that are like of this quality and this caliber is really going to put Easthampton on the map. And the other strategic piece of this is it goes from Nonotuck Park to this Borkowski parcel to Mount Tom. So you could literally hike from the center of town, almost all on trail, to the summit of Mount Tom with just crossing a couple roads. And that's impressive. That's a special thing to be able to do. So this property is very important, and I couldn't be behind this more. And I do think that the work that Hans has done has just been amazing, and having Jeff's support, thanks Hans, and having Jeff's support has been great. And it's not just for mountain bikers, it's for people that want to hike. It's for people that, I was just cross country skiing there at our last snowstorm. It was amazing. So there's tons of recreation opportunities out there, and we could all use a little bit more of those. So thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Derby. Counselor Zaret.
Couple things. I just wanted to first quickly say how grateful I am to Counselor Derby for continuing to further his vision about developing open space, which is one of the first things that we spoke about when I was first running for council, and Planner Bag and Hans for supporting this. This is an area I've driven by for years when I lived in the Plains, and always wanted to get back there, but wasn't quite sure exactly where to park. It had the opportunity to go back there recently with Counselor Derby, and it's just really fantastic and relatively, as I think someone said, undiscovered area. I think one of the most valuable assets of the city, or one of the many, is our open space and our natural surroundings. And I think, really formalizing this trail network as well as how to access it is just going to be another one of many feathers in the cap for the city. So bravo.
Thank you, Counselor Zaret. Any other comments? Councilor Peak?
Yeah, I just wanted to say I was very happy to see this on the agenda at our last meeting because yeah, Hans and I know each other through a very different world, and he had reached out to me about this whole thing, about this idea, and I didn't really know anything about it, but I thought, well, Councilor Derby is an avid biker, so I'll just forward this along to him and Planner Bag and see where it goes from there. And that's honestly the last I've heard about this until just now. So it's very nice to see that the wheels have been turning and we've got something going forward on this. It sounds, I've actually never been on this parcel. It's not that far from my house. But I think this is really exciting, and it's great to see sort of an idea like this working out.
Great. Councilor Derby.
So I'm not going to say too much more. I just will volunteer myself to give socially distanced masked tours of the area if anybody would like to see it. And I can't really end without saying thanks to Councilor Rist, who really picked this up and was a real supporter. And he met Greg Nuttleman with me at the Waterworks building, and we discussed parking, and it was just awesome. So it's great to have allies as it relates to trying to develop things like this in the city. So thanks again.
Great.
You're welcome.
Hans.
I just want to say just one last thing, and this is just, so I've never had any experience working with small government, and I just want to say that it's been a really positive experience for me, because I, had people telling me like, oh, the town's not going to care about this project and blah, blah, blah. And I just, the amount of enthusiasm from everybody when I kind of brought this up has just been really great. So I just really thank you all for the process has been really exciting, because I know you guys probably take a lot of hits other places. So just want to say that.
Not at all. Thank you, Hans. That was nice to say. All right. I think if there's no further discussion, Barbara.
No, I didn't make a motion.
Oh, you didn't. We haven't made a motion. We should make a motion, don't you think?
I just want to reiterate that the CPA committee approved this 8-0, and this is an example of how the CPA funding that we all voted for can leverage major grants. And I thank our planner, Jeff Bagg, for finding these grants and to make these projects affordable and usable. And we've done a lot with our new trails, the Mount Tom trails here and the trails on East Street. It's just fantastic that we're able to do it. Now, if we could only get affordable housing going, the CPA committee is ready to work there. Anyway, I'll make a motion. The amount requested is $35,400 to be appropriated from the CPA Reserve Fund balance, $35,400 to be appropriated to the Burkowski Parcel Mountain Bike Trails, $35,400. The amount requested for the following purpose: for the rehabilitation of storm damaged hiking and biking trails on the Burkowski parcel and adjacent city and DPW property off Hendrick Street.
Second.
Motion and a second for supplemental appropriation of $35,400 to restore the damaged trails. Barbara, any further discussion? Barbara, go ahead.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild.
Aye.
Owen Zaret. Okay.
He said yes.
Yep. Peg Coniff.
Aye.
Salem Derby.
Aye.
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
Erica Flood.
Aye.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Motion passes. Councilor Rist.
Okay, councilors, I only have two more. I'm sorry, but this time of year, we do get a lot of appropriations. The next two items were also approved by the Finance Committee 3-0, and they are DPW requests. And our DPW Director, Greg Nuttleman, is here to go into them. The first one is $19,009 for a new asphalt roller. We all know how much a roller is valuable to the city, especially when it comes time to fixing those potholes. We currently have a 2008 model, and it's constantly down for repair, so it's time for a new one. I'll just turn it over to Greg Nuttleman for further discussion.
Go ahead, Greg. Oh, you're good.
Thank you, Councilor Riss, I don't have the greatest connection for some reason. I don't know what's going on. It keeps freezing, but
I can hear you.
Councilor Riss pretty much covered it. I mean,
Now we're losing you, Greg.
can you hear me?
Now we can.
All right. Well, I was just going to say, Councilor Riss pretty much covered it. I mean, our roller's just passed its service life, and we need to replace it. So, and it's a crucial part, a crucial tool for the crew to have to keep the roads passable for the winter and do all the paving and restoration work we do throughout the summer. So,
okay. Any questions of Mayor? You're on mute, Mayor.
Thank you. I just want to quickly jump in here. There is a capital spending freeze right now. The reason why I signed this appropriation, the amount is the amount is under $25,000, which and that's what qualifies as capital. Combined with the urgency and the cost of having to rent equipment or make our own parts. So I just wanted to give that context.
Thank you, Mayor. Any questions from the councilors?
I don't know if they can hear me.
Councilor Gomez, we can actually, Greg, we can hear you. Councilor Gomez?
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to add the lifespan for this equipment is around 10 years.
Okay. Any comments from the public? Not seeing any. Want to make a motion, Councilor Rist?
Okay, I move that the City Council approve a supplemental appropriation. The amount requested is $19,009 to be transferred from free cash. $19,009 to be transferred to the FY21 asphalt roller purchase of $19,009 for the following purpose. The Highway Division's current asphalt roller is 2008 and past its expected service life. It is frequently out of service for repairs and is difficult to obtain replacement parts. That was a motion.
Second.
Motion is second for a new asphalt roller. Any further discussion? Barbara?
Lindsay Rothschild,
Yes.
Owen Zaret,
Yes.
Peg Coniff,
Aye.
Salem Derby,
Aye.
Omar Gomez,
Aye.
Erica Flood,
Aye.
Tom Peak,
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Motion passes.
The last supplemental appropriation is also a DPW enterprise retained earnings request of $30,000. This is important. Our Nonotuck well pump motor is in need of major repair. It's obviously vital to the city to have a working well pump at Nonotuck. Although we have other sources of water for the city, this is one of our primary sources. The 2019 inspected showed vibrations and it must be rebuilt. I again ask Greg if he wants to add anything to that. Uh-oh.
Trouble here. Oh, Councilor Risk, they pretty much covered it. I mean, we need to pull that pump out and have it overhauled, and it's that source supplies about on any given day 60 to 70% for the city, and we'd like to do this job during the winter when usage is a little bit lower. So we're hoping to get going on this as soon as possible if we can get this appropriation through.
Okay. Any questions from councilors? Councilor Zaret.
Thank you, President Coniff. Just quickly, was this well one of the items that was identified during the evaluation for the many needed infrastructure repairs that we need for water and sewer?
He's referring to the Tiger Bond report, Greg. Is this one of those items?
No, this would not have been identified in that. We do annual maintenance and vibration analysis on all the well pumps and all the water system pumps basically, and it was just identified as part of the annual preventative maintenance.
Anything else, Mayor?
I would just also make a similar comment of why this is outside of the capital freeze. It's a repair and not a replacement. And capital is defined under our policy as replacement of a capital item and not a repair.
Thank you, Mayor. Anyone else? Not seeing any? Councilor Rist.
Do we want to ask the public?
Well, I guess I was including anyone from the public have anything to say.
Okay.
It was an overall, anyone have anything to say.
Okay.
Not seeing any.
I move that the city council approve a supplemental appropriation of $30,000 to be transferred from enterprise retained earnings, $30,000 to be transferred to the FY21 Nantucket well pump, $30,000 for the purpose of repairing the Nantucket well pump motor with increased vibration, and recommended that the electric motor be removed and overhauled. The Nantucket well is a source of supply for the Easthampton water system.
Second.
Anyone? Was that you, Councilor Gomez? Second. Motion is second for the replacement and repair of the Nantucket well pump motor. Any further discussion? Barbara?
Owen Zaret,
Yes.
Peg Coniff,
Yes.
Salem Derby,
Aye.
Omar Gomez,
Aye.
Erica Flood,
Aye.
Tom Peak,
Aye.
Dan Rist,
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild.
Aye.
Motion passes.
If it please the president, I move that the public hearings be closed.
Second.
Motion is second to close the public hearings. Barbara?
Peg Coniff,
Yes.
Salem Derby,
Aye.
Omar Gomez,
Aye.
Erica Flood,
Aye.
Tom Peak,
Aye.
Dan Rist,
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild,
Aye.
Owen Zaret.
Yes.
All right, public hearing is now closed. We can go right into the reports of standing committees as we handled some of the other business on the agenda prior to the public hearing. So Councilor Rist, Finance.
Yes, the Finance Committee will meet next Wednesday, which is the 13th at 5 o'clock to continue our deliberation over a number of other items, one of which includes $1 million appropriation from free cash to different stabilization funds, which are our savings accounts, and a number of other repairs that are necessary for the DPW. There's a number of them. So these are all scheduled for public hearing at our next meeting on the 20th. I also would like to move at this time some new business to finance. For a first reading, requested for $10,000 to be transferred from free cash to be transferred to the licensing account, $10,000. The amount requested will be used to cover the stipend for a licensing clerk for the 2020 licensing duties. The monies come from licensing revenue and will be budgeted out from licensing revenue for FY22. I move that this be sent to the Finance Committee for review.
Second.
Motion second to move supplemental appropriation for licensing to the Finance Committee. Any discussion? Barbara?
Salem Derby,
Aye.
Omar Gomez,
Aye.
Erica Flood,
Aye.
Tom Peak,
Aye.
Dan Rist,
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild,
Aye.
Owen Zaret,
Yes.
Peg Coniff.
Aye. Motion passes. Dan?
That concludes.
Thank you. Public Safety, Councilor Gomez, I assume there is no report?
No report this time,
Okay.
Madam President.
Thank you. Appointment, Councilor Rothschild. Go ahead.
Okay, it's a little long. Here we go. So in our last meeting, two of us were present, so that's why all the votes will be 2-0. We voted 2-0 to recommend reappointment of Greg Rowland to the Community Preservation Act Committee, strongly supported by Councilor Rist, and he's been on the committee since 2013. Anyway, so I move to confirm the reappointment of Greg Rowland to the Community Preservation Act Committee with a term ending December 31st, 2023.
Second.
Motion is second to approve, I forget his name now.
Greg Rowland. It's your appointment.
Sorry, Greg. To the CPA committee. Any discussion? Barbara?
Omar Gomez,
Aye.
Erica Flood,
Aye.
Tom Peak,
Aye.
Dan Rist,
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild,
Aye.
Owen Zaret,
Yes.
Peg Coniff,
Aye.
Salem Derby.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, next. We voted 2-0 to recommend the reappointment of Mark Tanner as city attorney, Jeff Bagg as city planner, and Brendan Rogers as the council on aging director. So I'm grouping those three together. I will move to confirm the reappointments of Mark Tanner, city attorney, with a term ending December 31st, 2021, and Jeff Bagg as city planner, and Brendan Rogers as the council on aging director, both with a term ending December 31st, 2023.
Second.
Motion second to confirm mayoral reappointments to the city attorney, the city planner, and the council on aging director. Any further discussion? Barbara?
Peg Coniff,
Aye.
Salem Derby,
Aye.
Omar Gomez,
Aye.
Erica Flood,
Aye.
Tom Peak,
Aye.
Dan Rist,
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild,
Aye.
Owen Zaret.
Yes.
Motion passes. Go ahead.
Great, okay. And then we voted 2-0 on all the school committee reappointments, except for Cynthia Kwasinski, which was 1 in favor, 1 abstention. Chief Christopher Norris is replacing former Chief Dave Motter, Fire Chief Dave Motter. So I guess it's considered reappointment. So I move to confirm the following school building committee reappointments: Christopher Norris, Cynthia Kwasinski, Maren Goldstein, Patrick Bruff, Shannon Dunham, David Boyle, and John Atwater, with a term ending December 31st, 2023.
Second.
Motion second to approve the mayoral reappointments as just defined by Councilor Rothschild. Any further discussion? Barbara?
Salem Derby,
Aye.
Omar Gomez,
Aye.
Erica Flood,
Aye.
Tom Peak,
Aye.
Dan Rist,
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild,
Aye.
Owen Zaret,
Yes.
Peg Coniff.
Yes. Motion
Okay.
passes.
We voted 2-0 in support of the remaining mayoral reappointments. So I move to confirm the following reappointments: Jackie Brousseau Pereira to the Affordable and Fair Housing Committee, Jerry Page to the Agricultural Commission, Angelique Baker to the Commission on Disability, Gwen Morrissey to the EDIC, John Lucito to the Manhattan Rail Trail Committee, and Paul Nowak to the Nashwanik Pond Committee, all with terms ending December 31st, 2023.
Second.
Motion second to approve the aforementioned mayoral reappointments. Any discussion? Barbara?
Omar Gomez,
Aye.
Erica Flood,
Aye.
Tom Peak,
Aye.
Dan Rist,
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild,
Aye.
Owen Zaret,
Yes.
Peg Coniff,
Aye.
Salem Derby.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, so now I'm going to address the mayoral appointments to the Main Street Cemetery Commission. You may have noticed that there's a changing of the guard on the Main Street Cemetery Commission. So what I learned was that upon the advice of the city attorney, the mayor rescinded all of her appointments on the Main Street Cemetery Board. The past board was not reporting properly to the city, and they stopped replying to requests to deliver financial and operational documents. Ms. Pliska, who maintains the records of the city cemeteries, was appointed to try to make some sense of the records that the city was not able to access while they tried.
Lost you, Lindsay. She's frozen. Uh-oh.
Put in order. So once the records are in order, the intent of the mayor is to reappoint board members to replace the 3 that are before us today. So
there's no reappointments at this time for that committee?
No, there's no reappointments, but I'm moving to confirm the appointments.
Okay.
Of Nicole LaChapelle, John Mason, and Jennifer Gallant to the Main Street Cemetery Commission with a term ending December 31st, 2023, and we voted 2-0 on those appointments.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Motion is second on the 3 appointments to the cemetery committee. Any further discussion? Barbara?
Erica Flood,
Aye.
Tom Peak,
Aye.
Dan Rist,
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild,
Aye.
Owen Zaret,
Yes.
Peg Coniff,
Aye.
Salem Derby,
Aye.
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
And the motion passes.
Okay. So as regards to the other agenda item, we did not discuss the appointment process yet, as Councilor Flood was not present, and we want to wait until we have our full committee present. So there was no discussion on that matter. So on to new business. I want to clarify that Austin Sanders is currently an associate member of the planning board, and he So I think he needs to be appointed, not reappointed. I think he needs to be appointed as a full member. So I think I might send that back to the mayor.
Okay.
But I am going to vote, I'm going to move the 5 other mayoral reappointments with an expiration date 12/31/2023 to the appointments committee.
Second.
Motion is second to move 5 of the 6 mayoral appointments to the appointment committee with the exception of the planning board associate member, Austin Sanders. Any further discussion? Barbara?
Tom Peak,
Aye.
Dan Rist,
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild,
Aye.
Owen Zaret,
Yes.
Peg Coniff,
Yes.
Salem Derby,
Aye.
Omar Gomez,
Aye.
Erica Flood.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, we reached the end. Our next meeting is January 13th, which is next Wednesday at 6 p.m. And thus concludes. Oh, do you have a question?
Madam President,
Hang on. So there's a potential conflict
Okay.
with the finance meeting, and we may in fact go long. So we can do one of two things. I think let's leave it at the 13th, and I'll see if I can get a Zoom account different than the city council so that there is not a conflict for there, if that's okay.
Sure.
If I can't do that, we may have to change your time because I'm pretty sure finance is going to go over.
Okay, that's fine. We don't want to meet anymore right before the council meetings.
I totally understand. So we'll leave it at January 13th at 6, and I'll get back to you on which Zoom account you'll be using.
Thank you.
Councilor Rist.
no, that was my concern.
Okay.
Okay, that concludes.
Thank you, Councilor Rothschild. Ordinance, Councilor Derby.
Thank you, Madam President. Let's start with some housekeeping. In the form of a motion, I'd like to request a 90-day extension to all of our agenda items, please.
Second.
Motion is
Thank you
second.
for that motion.
Motion and a second for to extend all the agenda items to 90 days under the ordinance agenda. Motion, Barbara.
Dan Rist,
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild,
Aye.
Owen Zaret,
Yes.
Peg Coniff,
Yes.
Salem Derby,
Aye.
Omar Gomez,
Aye.
Erica Flood,
Aye.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
All right, motion passes.
Okay, thanks so much. So we did meet on December 22nd, and we discussed a few of our agenda items. We have not gotten the official recommendation from the planning board, even though we know what it is, on the cannabis operating hours. So I would like to set a public hearing for February 3rd at 6:15 p.m. for that item in the form of a motion, please.
Before we do that, will that be a joint hearing with the planning board or just you?
We've already had our joint hearing with the planning board, so that one's just for the council.
Okay, thank you. So do we have a motion? Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and second to set a public hearing on the cannabis operating hours for February 3rd. Any discussion? Barbara.
Lindsay Rothschild,
Yes.
Owen Zaret,
Yes.
Peg Coniff,
Yes.
Salem Derby,
Yes.
Omar Gomez,
Aye.
Erica Flood,
Aye.
Tom Peak,
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, thank you. So I want to just let people know when our next meetings are and what we'll be covering. So we're going to be meeting on January 12th at 6 p.m. And at that meeting, I've invited Sergeant Ross to come in to discuss the engine brake ordinance. I think we're at the point where we're probably going to look to dismiss it without prejudice. We just want to check in with him one final time to see if there's any, compelling reason why we'd want to make an ordinance for this. So that would be that. We also might touch on the solar installation, which we have already discussed. And there's some technical aspects of that we want to discuss a little further as well. And then we're also meeting on January 26th at 6 p.m. Where that one is going to be specifically, at least for the beginning of the meeting. I know that we have some new business, so I don't want to say that's the only thing we're going to be talking about, but the changing Columbus Day to Indigenous Peoples Day. So if there's anybody interested in that discussion, that will be on the 26th at 6 p.m.
Okay.
And so I think that my only remaining piece of business here would be to add the new business, which would be to the request for consideration for a zoning amendment regarding cannabis delivery and moving that to ordinance.
Second.
Motion second to move the new business for cannabis delivery to the ordinance committee. Any further discussion? Barbara?
Owen Jarrett,
Yes.
Peg Coniff,
Yes.
Salem Derby,
Yes.
Omar Gomez,
Aye.
Erica Flood,
Aye.
Tom Peak,
Aye.
Dan Rist,
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Thus concludes. Oh, wait,
you,
looks like Councilor Zara might have something there. Maybe I forgot something.
Well, just a quick question, Chairman Derby. Did we discuss setting a joint public hearing with the planning board for the solar? I can't remember.
So we did, and when I talked to Jeff, he wanted to talk about it a little bit further, just to try to figure out where it fits on the planning board's agenda. So I'm holding off on that for right now, but that is the inevitable course. So we will, as soon as I can nail down a time with the planner that works for the planning board.
Great, thank you. Counselor Barbara, go ahead.
That one hasn't been referred to the planning board, has it? It needs to come out of your subcommittee and then go back to your committee and to planning.
But that is the one thing that I did forget. So I would like to do that. I would like to, so now Barbara, do I have to move it back to our committee at the same time as well?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I would like to make a motion to move the solar installation requirement on certain new construction to the planning board and back to the ordinance subcommittee or ordinance committee.
Second.
Motion second to move the solar installation over to the planning board and subsequently back to ordinance. Any further discussion? Barbara?
Peg Coniff,
Yes.
Salem Derby,
Yes.
Omar Gomez,
Aye.
Erica Flood,
Aye.
Tom Peak,
Aye.
Dan Rist,
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild,
Aye.
Owen Jarrett.
Yes.
Motion passes.
I shouldn't say anything. Wait till
Counselor Rist?
Salem, do we not have to move the delivery ordinance also to planning? It's a zoning amendment or?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Once it comes out of yours, it goes there. Okay, thank you.
And thus concludes.
Thank you, Counselor Derby. Let me turn the page. Counselor Zaret.
Thank you, President Coniff. We have not met since our last meeting. I was able to have a communication via email with the Eversource rep. They apologized for not being able to make our last meeting and indicated that they would be able to be here for our next January meeting in 2 weeks for that public hearing and be able to address anyone's concerns. I just thought it would be valuable for them to be in attendance. So I believe we have already set that public hearing for January 20th. And we will be meeting next on January 14th at 6:30 p.m. In these chambers to discuss the housing production plan. Just be based on the depth and breadth of that information. I would just kindly ask anyone attending the meeting to make sure you are well read up on it and be prepared to discuss that. And President Coniff, you and I discussed earlier that there was going to be a public hearing sometime in February. Do we need to set that tonight?
I think it was, we don't need to set it tonight. I think Jeff and I had talked about February 17th, so we have some time.
Okay.
Firm that up a little bit.
Okay.
Barb, if we have it on the 17th, when do we have to publicize it?
I'm not sure that has to be publicized.
Okay.
I'd need to check with Jeff. I mean, it's nothing, it's not an ordinance or a loan or appropriation, but okay. I'd have to check with Jeff.
Okay, thank you.
That's concluded.
Councilor Gomez.
Thank you, Madam President. Just a quick question. the poll location look like expired 12/30/20.
We're not
So
done. Go ahead.
I just want to know if they need an extension for that or to keep it on the agenda.
Yes, he does.
Oh,
I didn't know you had you concluded, Councilor?
well, I
Zhang?
had, but I wasn't aware of that. For some reason, I thought we had extended it the last meeting because of that issue, but I must have missed that. So at this time, sorry, I'm going on my other screen. I'd like to request a 30-day extension for the property committee item poll location request to jointly own polls on Main Street near True Heart Drive.
Second.
Motion is second to extend the poll location request 30 days on the agenda. Any discussion? Barbara?
Oh, where are we? Salem Derby.
Aye.
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
Erica Flood.
Aye.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild.
Aye.
Owen Zaret.
Yes.
Peg Coniff.
Yes. Motion passes. And now you had concluded, correct, Councilor Zaret? Because
I conclude once again.
I didn't hear it the first time, and that's why I was confused. Okay. Thank you. Rules and Government Relations, Councilor Peak.
Thank you, Madam President. We met last week to discuss two items that are on our agenda. The easthamptonma.gov emails for committee chairs and the anti-bias training. In both cases, we sort of came to the conclusion that for us to deliberate further on this, we were going to need to sit down with the mayor and potentially some department heads, including somebody from IT, which could be challenging right now because there's been some turnover in that department. So I'm still working on scheduling a time that works well for everybody to have a meeting. We will be having another meeting about that at some point in the near future. At this point, none has been scheduled. Looking over the agenda, I am going to request at this time I'm just going to go ahead and ask for a 90-day extension on both of those items, as well as the pilot program resolution, which I know I'd spoken briefly with Councilor Flood about maybe picking up, since that was Councilor Lynch's thing, but I don't really know where that is. So I'm just figuring let's just extend those all now and we'll figure it out as we go.
Is that a motion?
I will make that in the form of a motion.
Second.
Motion is second to extend 90 days for the three agenda items Mr. Peak just spoke of. Any further discussion? Barbara?
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
Erica Flood.
Aye.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild.
Aye.
Owen Zaret.
Yes.
Peg Coniff.
Yes.
Salem Derby.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Great. And then finally, we have a request to amend Council Rule 5C. I would like to make a motion to move that to rules.
Second.
Motion is second to move an amendment to Rule 5C to the Rules Committee. Any further discussion? Barbara?
Erica Flood.
Aye.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild.
Aye.
Owen Zaret.
Yes.
Peg Coniff.
Yes.
Salem Derby.
Aye.
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
Motion passes. Councilor Peak?
Okay. Yes, sorry. And thus concludes.
Thank you, Councilor Peak. For the ad hoc committees, we've already heard from Councilor Peak on ranked choice voting. I will just really briefly tell you on senior tax work-off. We are, this week, Thursday, we'll be meeting to finalize our presentation to the mayor. The mayor has agreed to come to our next meeting after that so that we can present our plan to her, and then we will present also to City Council shortly thereafter. So we will be, you can look for those meetings and that information to come out very shortly on that. Looks like we have done all of our old business and we have taken care of all the new business. I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Barbara?
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Dan Rist,
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild,
Aye.
Owen Zaret,
Yes.
Peg Coniff,
Yes.
Dylan Derby,
Aye.
Omar Gomez,
Aye.
Erica Flood.
Aye.
Good night, everybody.
Meeting is adjourned. Good night, everyone.
everybody.
Thank you.